do this too before. Let's see. I got the feeling that it's pulled up.
The Griot Podcast. The Griot Podcast.
All right. Peace. Welcome back to the Griot Podcast. I am one of the hosts, Kofi Piesie. I am a writer, an author, a publisher, a ghostwriter, a podcaster, amongst other things.
Yeah. I am the other host, the man Sean P. from the Sean P. Experience. I am a public speaker, podcast host, interviewer extraordinaire, content curator, educator, amongst others.
All right. Well, let's get into it, man. Today's show is called Poor Righteous Teachers. Poor Righteous Teachers. So we're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff, man. This episode gonna be jam packed, man, with
Oh
information.
yeah, we're gonna light it up today.
Let me let's go through the outline. We'll go through the outline first, and then we're gonna jump straight on into it, man. We're gonna jump straight. I think y'all gonna enjoy this episode right here. So the outline, let's just get the outline real quick. The outline for the Griot Podcast is opening by honoring a teacher, a scholar, a writer, author, a revolutionary of the past. Griot. You know, we always got to talk about the Griot, so we're going to briefly touch on the Griots segment, historical segment. We're going to share some history from books, articles, and journals. Now we have another segment where we are a sponsor segment. So we're after the history. After the history, we'll go into the sponsor segment. Storytelling segment, music, which is discussing our favorite genres of music and new albums released in reviews, discussion current events of world views. Woman segment where we briefly talk and give flowers to women who have contributed something of value to the political world, writing world, author world, business world, medical world, and academia world. So that is the outline for the Griot Podcast. So let's get into the opening segment. We always have to honor someone before we start each episode. So today I'll be honoring Clarence Edward Smith, right? Who was known as Clarence X and who later became Father Allah. So Clarence Edward Smith was born on February the 22nd, 1928, and raised in Danville, Virginia, with his 5 brothers and 1 sister. During his childhood, Virginia was racially segregated, and he witnessed incidents of racism, including fighting between fathers and white men that was sparked in racial tension. In the 1940s, he moved with his mother to New York City, where they settled in Harlem. He attended only 2 years of high school. In 1949, Smith fathered a child, Clarence Jower, which William Jower, although he married a woman named Dora Smith in 1950. He fathered another, Otis Jowers, and Willie in 1951. He also had several sons and daughters with Kareem from 1952 to 1954, where he served as an infantryman in the Korean War. After returning to the U.S., he lived in Harlem and served in the United States Army Reserve until 1960. During his military service, he became skilled in karate. Skilled in karate. Dora Smith embraced the Nation of Islam while her husband was away, and he converted after returning to New York City. I'm not gonna read all these slides. There's another slide, but Clarence 13X, who became Father Allah. After the war, his wife became a member of the Nation of Islam, right? And when he came home, he converted to the Nation of Islam. Stories went on that he had some issues with the Nation of Islam, some things that was going on. So he started what we call today the 5 centers, or the nation of gods and the nations of gods and earth, right? and they believe that black people are the original people on the planet. The men are the gods and the women are the earth. The fathers and son, I mean the mothers and fathers of of civilization, right? So that is 13 Clarence X right there, and we're going to talk a little more about the 5 percenters of the nation of gods and
Yeah,
earths in a little bit, right? Because
yeah, we
we
are.
got to get into this phrase, poor righteous teachers.
The poor righteous teachers. That's right. That's right. It's on me.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. I'm excited to talk about this. Our sister Dorothy Porter Wesley. She was a librarian, a curator, and a bibliographer. Those on roles that attract heaps of popularity and interest. So odds are you haven't heard about her before. Regardless, she made important contributions to advance the study of Black history and culture during her long tenure at Howard University. There, she displayed a pivotal role in shaping and building the university's special collections, turning the Marlin Spingard Research Center into what it is, directly described at the time of her death in 1995 as one of the world's largest repositories for studying Black history and culture. And I want to highlight that real quick, Kofi, because I'm always harping on Dr. Porter Wesley and her librarian skills because library science is what it's called. Library science is not really highlighted enough in this day and time that we live in there. And with all this technology advances we have right now, whenever I visit most libraries in different cities, and that's not to downplay the librarians now, but they're more so behind the desk, just sitting there, asking for where a book is. They put it up, show you where the book is, and that's it. A real curator, whenever I ask for a book on mental health, it's like, oh, you want a book on mental health? Look at these articles, look at these journals, look at these encyclopedias, look at these documentaries. They're putting a whole picture together for you. So a lot of our favorite African American ancestors that wrote these books, she was the person that gave them information for those books. Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, et cetera, et cetera. She was the person in the background giving them crates of information and stuff like that. So I want to definitely highlight and emphasize that system, man.
Yeah, that term, I never heard of that term until maybe a few years ago. I interviewed uh golly, Mary, I can't think of her last name, but she has a traveling agency as well, right? And she wrote a book on how to migrate back to Ghana. And I wish I would have had it, but I don't reorganize some stuff. I'm not gonna get up. But that's what she was. She was a librarian for
Yeah,
so many years. She was an editor as well. She's an author as well. She wrote several books, man, and that was the
yeah,
first time I ever heard of library science or
yeah.
whatever. That's
Cause
right.
see, you see, being in Bookstagram for the past 3 or 4 years, I've probably come across 3 or 4 of my good friends, and they told me they was in school for library science. I was like, man, that's a college major, like library science. Like even my mom was a librarian before I was born. I had never heard of library science,
Right.
but I found it very intriguing and like started asking them personal questions and all of that. Like we need to highlight that more, emphasize that more. Dr. Wade and myself was talking about that days ago. We got to put the emphasis back on these libraries, man. And that's why I love doing book signings at libraries whenever I can to bring the attention back to the library. These are our original hubs that we had for the community.
And that's dope, man. Yeah, we definitely need to keep doing that and bringing it back because
Yeah,
um the library was the center of
yeah,
our education outside
yeah,
of school, right? But
yes,
now the internet that
yeah,
came, so now you got, information at your fingertips, even though you got information at your fingertip. It's nothing like going to the library and pulling those books out and
come
reading
on, man.
those books off
Yes,
the shelf, right? Because
yeah,
even with Google, you have to be careful with Google because a lot of us, I know, Google something for 30 minutes and then they feel like they the authority over the
expert.
information that they are Google and hadn't even read an entire book or read several books on the subject matter, man. So we definitely need to get back into highlighting the libraries, man, and getting people comfortable in going back into the libraries and
Yes.
pulling books off the shelves, man.
You see, the advantage of now is Kofi. It's so much technology out there now. the word accessibility get used a lot in the book community, right? People having access to books. Every person can't afford to go to Barnes and Nobles and Books of Men and just buy books, go on Amazon and buy books. But even besides getting free books, there are so many other tools at the library now that's not even being utilized.
Mm-hmm.
All kind of things that's accessible, and people even go in there and even use this stuff, man. So we gotta do a whole nother show on libraries one day, probably. Who knows?
Man,
You
hey,
never know. You never know.
most definitely, most definitely.
You never know.
All right. Before we get into the history segment, which
Yep.
is entitled of the show, Poor Righteous Teachers,
Right.
let's our sponsor, right? We have a
Yeah.
sponsor,
Sure.
Tracy George,
Sure.
right?
Yes.
So our sponsor is Tracy George, who is the owner and operator of Village Seated. Village Seated is based out of Riverside, California, and it is about coming together as a village to spread the seeds of knowledge by recommendations, donations, or selling books.
Yep.
Its focus is on building relationships with our community to provide support and awareness. So that is our sponsor
Yes.
segment of the day. Shout out to
Yeah, shout
Tracy
out to
George.
her. I want to give special prayers and wishes and light toward her situation. I know she got something going on right now, so much prayers to her, her loved ones, and speedy recovery.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. Uh, let's move along.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go. Okay. To the griots. And we just gonna talk about this briefly. We really don't even have to look at the slides on this. We'll just touch on it briefly, real quick.
Okay.
Um, but the griots today lived in many parts of West Africa and presented in the Mandi peoples, the Mandiki, the Malinki, the Bambara, the Fulali, the Hassa, the Songhai, the Tula, the Wolof, the Siri, the Masi, the Dongo, the Mediterranean Arabs, and many other smaller groups. The word may derive from the French transliteration grioti or the Portuguese word credo in a masculine single term serving griots, more predominant in northern portions of West Africa. So majority, we're not majority, but this griot is a role that you see heavily in West African culture, right? You see this heavily in West African culture. Griot is more than a storyteller. A griot, right, is an ambassador. He is a warrior. He is a teacher. He is a poet, a musician, a singer, and so many other roles that a griot and a griot serve, right? So, shameless plug. So, if you don't have the modern day griot and griots,
Yeah.
the new generation, go get this book and it'll explain to you thoroughly what a griot and a griot is from the ancient axe point all the way up into the modern aspect, right? So go get this book, and even it goes into we talk a little bit about the origin of the word, right? Because it says the word may derive from the French translation. So we go into the root and where this word actually derived from, right? And talk about those different theories. So again, go get
And in the beautiful merch store that we have, you can go and get that T-shirt with all the different names on there, man. That's beautiful, bro.
yes, sir. It's the modern day griot T-shirt, and on the back of it, it has all the list of those names from all those different West African countries
Popping, popping.
on the back of it, man.
Right.
Lovely shirt. I got one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear it when I go to Texas. That's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
The modern day griot hats. We also have the modern day
Uh,
griot hats to go
uh,
with the shirts, right?
you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Mhm.
Truck boy. They got that black one on. That Keith got that black one. That thing hard.
Yeah. So man, let's go into
Okay.
the next segment. Let's get into the topic of discussion, man. Poor righteous teachers, right? So
Okay.
before we get into this, let's give a definition. Let's give the historical definition, right? For those who may not know what etymology is the root of words. When I'm looking at words, there are always words that I may not know. Some words I might look at it from a surface standpoint. So I'm just gonna go and Google the word because right now we don't have to go to Webster Dictionary, pull out these dictionaries.
Or
We
the
can
library.
right. so
Yeah,
so
I did that.
yeah. right. So I'll look a word up real quick. But if it's something I want to more about this word, I type in online etymology, right, which is the online etymology dictionary, and I type this word keyword in. And the etymology is just the origin and the roots of the word. It tells you when this word originated, what century this word originated, who actually originated this word, how was this word used historically, right? So let's talk about it, right? The 16th century historical definition, right? And through historical, the word when it originated, let's make it clear here. Throughout times, words begins to change, right? So what it might mean historically in one sense, now it may transform and mean something else later on. Sometimes the words stay the same, and sometimes, you know what I'm saying, they're changed, their definition changed. So the 16th century historical definition, right? Poor is defined with the context of frugality, a word derived from the Latin frugalis, thrift, economic, moderate, sensible. Thrifty, economically, moderate, or sensibility. That perspective of poverty as being frugal was a quality of life theme consistent within the old world social life. In modern societies, we may view their circumstances as simply poor, yet station in a life was viewed as a class term as modest versus extravagance. As the old world became a central source of a development new world, this concept of frugality was carried over into America's social economic landscape. In time, the concept of frugality begins to fade following the traditionalist generation, and the word frugal fell out of the common use.
Now, let me ask you a question right quick, Cole. This is off the cuff. This is not planned at all. We can spend like 30 seconds to a minute on this, right? So the first time that I ever met Cliff in person, my partner Cliff, we had a whole online debate about etymology of a word. And you just said something important earlier. You have the original intent for a word versus what it get transformed into over time. That was the debate.
Yep.
So let me ask you a question right now on a real time live feed. What's more important to you, Kofi, the original intent of a word or the present day usage of a word?
I would say, man, the historical, man, you know, the historical content. Because if I create something, if me and you create something, right, and this is what it means, I would want to keep the true intent of that word or whatever that creation is by those who create it. Not later on, 10 years down the line, and we create something and we created it for this sole purpose and it to mean this. And then later on, somebody else's uh, uh, insert its own meaning and it becomes that new thing. So for me, it will have to be the historical definition. That's just my own. That's my take on it.
Right. Yeah. There is no real right or wrong answer. It's kind of subjective, but I love to. I've had this debate for like probably, man, almost 10 years with different people when it comes to. I love etymology as well. My mentor, my longtime mentor, put me on etymology a long time ago. And I'm always big on the root of a word, the word family, and all of that. And I feel the same way, but the original intent for something is so much energy and weight to me. But I do understand how things get changed over time. I understand all that logically, but when it comes to my particular preference, I love the original intent.
Right. I love the original 10 too.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
so
I'm
let's
gonna go.
read the today's definition real quick, right quick, because I want them to understand the historical word poor did not mean the same thing as now. It just mean it meant something totally different. It didn't
Right.
mean poor.
So today's definition: poor. Number one, lacking sufficient money to live at a standard considered comfortable or normal in society. Two, worse than is usual, expected, or desirable, of a low or inferior standard or quality. This is from the online Oxford Dictionary. I'm gonna slide over, get my charger for my laptop, but keep on going.
All right. So we wanted to give that two definitions before we get in this story, you know, because the historical definition and which is the 16th century definition and the 21st definition is two totally different things. Because I want to shed some light on because I don't want to disrespect the poor righteous teachers, the artistry group, right? So And the reasoning behind them using poor righteous teachers. But this phrase was popularized, and they was also a part of the 5%ers who were known as the nation of gods and earths, right? And this is where this phrase began to get popularized through the nation of gods and earths, or who we call today the 5%ers, right? So who are the 5%ers on the poor part of the planet Earth? They are poor righteous teachers who don't believe in the teachings of the 10% who are wise and know who the true living God is. When learning this 16th century lesson, there are many 5%ers who interpret poor righteous teachers to mean we must make a vow to poverty in order to be righteous and teach others. Thus, this accumulation of wealth and entrepreneurship and business owners is often equated with being a rich slave. I'm going to stop right there real quick. I want to touch on this, and I'm reading something from someone who is a 5%er, someone who is from the nation of gods and earth. An article is called "What is a Poor Righteous Teacher?" Right? This guy, Aline Saladin, who has, man, I think this guy got about 20 or 30 different publications out, Sean. I was, looking at, man, I liked the article. Let me see if he wrote some books. So, and he wrote a lot of books, and he's also a member of the 5% Nation, right? So he's writing in here, and he's telling, and this same thing that we have within this so-called conscious community, a lot of those guys, not all, but a lot of them believe in order to be righteous, you have to attach yourself with poverty, right? So this is also an ideal and ideology coming out of the nation of gods and earth and the 5%ers, as Salim Allah is presenting in his article. He's a member, right? So he talks about them and also equating themselves with poverty, because they did not want to be acclimated. They thought, which they believe the 5% are the people who know. 85% are those who are deaf, dumb, and blind. The 5% are those who are going to educate and teach the 85% about the 10%, who rules the world. And most of the 10% are also in the knowing, but they're wicked and want to keep you deaf, dumb, and blind and up under their thumb, right?
Right.
So, go ahead. You had something?
I did. Just real fast, right? I want to add on to that concept real fast, based on things I was reading last night, right? Besides financial, quote unquote, poverty or whatever, it was also a stance of being, like I said, amongst the people, right? Because the 5% Nation, and a lot of those teachings, a lot of that school of thought was about people that was in the hood, right? In the projects. Most times, a lot of guys that went to prison, unfortunately, might have picked up on 5% when they was incarcerated or whatever. So it was about a certain sector of life where you feel like you're downtrodden by society, by the school system, by the economic system and all this. Not that you're proud to be poor. This is our condition, and we're going to train our minds differently. We're going to have our own culture within us differently, something like that. As a cultural stance.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so let's go on. He says these economic endeavors often viewed as believing in the teachings of the 10% or the bloodsuckers of the poor. In the early days in the 5% nation, even the pursuit of higher education was considered believing in the teachings of the 10%, aka the white man education. And through the community that I used to be in, right? This is a lot of the things that were the rhetoric, white man's education, white man's teaching, right? So,
bro, the first time I heard that phrase ever in my life, it was some brothers I was dealing with out of New York. I love them brothers to this day, so no need for names and all of that,
for
right?
sure, I figured that out of New York.
But they are part of a fitness culture out there in New York and everything, right? These guys, a lot of them have been self-taught, fitness, health, whatever you want to call it. So I had my official National Academy of Sport Medicine certifications already. I had binders and binders of information, online stuff, everything, right? So when the brother came down to fly down to chill with me, And I showed him all the stuff I had. He called on the phone to his homeboy in New York. He said, bruh, he got that white man knowledge. He got that white man. And the first thing he said, this is like 2008, this conversation. He got that white man knowledge. He got that white man knowledge. Like, I had went to the actual schools and went through those halls of academia to learn about the anatomy and physiology and biology and the science of the body. You know, he was definitely amazed at that. But I had never heard the phrase the white man knowledge until he said that.
Yes.
But they were of the 5% and the Nation of Islam school of thought, you know.
Right. And right. And with that, he goes on to say that, you know, early on when we talk about the nation of gods and earth, the 5%ers, we know who I honored in the beginning, Clifton X, who became Father X, who was a member of the Nation of Islam, left the Nation of Islam and started his own thing, right? And so in the 60s, and it's crazy, he started this 1962 or 1963, Father Allah did, right? And though that thinking are still kind of still amongst us today. Now he goes on and says that in early days of the 5% nation, even the pursuit of higher education was considered believing as the white, but teaching is the 10%, aka the white man teaching, by some 5%. It took our pioneer Allah to attend graduating from college with a master's degree to show the real value of higher education. This attitude about poverty and wealth building is one of the main reasons our nations of the 5% has lacked a clear, cohesive economic development plan. And that's just not even the 5% nation. We're talking about our communities in general, right?
Yeah, across the board.
Across the board, right?
Across the board.
Across the board. So, you know, some of those thinkings are still, you know, amongst a lot of those, and but a lot of those thinkings, you know, are obsolete now, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
So let's discuss, man, some of our scholars, man, prolific writers and humanitarians, man, who died poor, man, and the reason why they died poor, right? You know, let's talk a little bit about Carter G. Wilson, Dr. Joseph Ben Jochanan, Zora Neale Hurston, John Henry Clark, and a list of others that you had, man. You know, that died poor, man. We had they were poor righteous teachers, right? They was poor, but they didn't have that. But let's clear this. They didn't have the concept of, in order to be a righteous teacher, they had to attach themselves with poverty. This was something, right? They died poor.
They happened to be in poverty already, trying to start mass movements, grassroots on their own, right? Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who's another Harvard grad and everything else, right? This man trying to, well, we have Black History Month now. He's the father of Black History Month. Think about how major that is. Father of Black History Month. He did a lot of things for Black education at that time. But the Negro journals and things like that he was doing. But whenever you read about that time frame for him, he is trying to take every little resource he's making and putting it straight back into the community, straight back into what they're making, what they're writing, making the journals and stuff like that. He had a hard time getting sponsorship, getting grant money. So whenever he would get a little small piece of a check, he putting it right back into what they doing.
Sounds so familiar.
Yes. Even I heard about MLK. MLK, they was trying to get it for taxes and stuff like that, right? The government. He like, man, any little money I'm making, I'm putting it right back into what we doing. All this marching and protesting, somebody got to pay for that. We all going to jail. You got bail money. Like every resource I'm kind of getting in here is going right back out the back door before you even know it. A. Philip Randolph, the same thing. A. Philip Randolph with the Pullman Porters and everything he was doing with that. The money they was making, it was already spent. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You know, the same
so
thing.
They was fighting the uphill battle as far as economics. Anyway, let alone for not getting enough support and enough backing.
Why Why do you think that, man? Along with, before I asked you that, man. You mentioned Carter G. Wilson, man. Like
Yeah.
he died poor, man. He
Yes,
had
man.
holes in his shoes, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
man, sitting there eating cans of soup.
right, a
You know what I'm
man,
saying? For
a
years. They
one,
was eating
one,
cans of soup and
right,
sardines and just trying to.
right. One of the first person to get what his doctoral degree, right? To get his
He a multiple
PhD,
yeah.
right? They get
Behind the boys.
behind the boys, right?
Yeah. So see,
So
this is a stark contrast too, right? Dr. Carter G. Woodson, like you said earlier, he wanted to have total control of his product and what he's doing. And he felt like if I take y'all money, y'all gonna start controlling what I'm doing and what I'm saying and how I'm writing and what's going on. So he kind of rubbed a lot of folks the wrong way when it comes to the politics of playing chess, right? So some of these other scholars we see, they played the game. And I told you this, we did the Black Church months ago, episode 4 of Black Church, right? Talking about Dr. Henry Louis Gates. And some people in our community feel like he played the game in the other direction for them other people. That's a matter of opinion. It's a matter of choice. He won't die poor, I tell you that. I tell you that. So he played the game. He get these PBS contracts, get all these movies, all these TV shows, get all the book deals. And we know some other scholars right now that might know more about certain things than Henry Louis Gates, but they ain't playing that game right there. So they ain't getting the PBS money. They ain't getting the CBS specials. You're not getting the big book deal.
right. And why
So
you and that's
you gotta, you know.
so why and that comes to we should be taking care of our own. Like
We should.
we quote these people, like we quote
Yeah.
these people, right?
To this day.
Even Dr. Ben, right? Dr. Ben, man.
Kofi, you wearing a Malcolm X hat right now.
Yeah.
You wearing a Malcolm X hat right now.
Right. So we quote these Malcolm X. We quote all these guys. Dr. Ben, which was a sad story. I mean, which was sad.
Yes.
I was sad for.
Tell them about it. Tell them about it, Kofi.
Because we have so many people in the space that I come from when I'm saying the conscious community, right? So Dr. Ben's name has been heavily talked about in that community.
He on the Mount Rushmore of the greatest of the great. He on that. He on that.
Right. Yeah. Then wrote, I don't know. I know at least 48, 49 books, but possibly more. Done got education from all over and
the world,
everywhere. Right.
The world.
Right.
The world.
Versed in languages. Took people for years to Egypt, right? To educate them about the greatness and those people, what color those people were, right? So, and for him to also die poor in a funeral home, right? In a funeral home, right? And the only institution that was able to put a service on, which we talk about a whole lot, was the church. His service was in a church. People donated money for him to have this, this service. People put their resources together.
I remember the NBA player David West had paid for his funeral.
Yeah, right.
David West paid for his funeral.
And that's the thing, man. We talk and we usher these people who made sacrifices for us, who made major contributions to push us forward, right?
So back to us. Whenever Dr. Ben traveling all over doing all these lectures and speeches, matter of fact, let's talk about that.
Okay.
These guys we're talking about, they was doing 5 and 6 hour lectures, bro.
Yes, him, John, here,
hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. These dudes is pouring in 5 and 6 hours.
Yes.
Let alone before that and after that. And they wasn't really getting paid nothing for that, evidently.
No, they weren't getting paid nothing for that.
Dr. Clark, Dr. Ben, all these guys.
Dr. Ben, Asia Hilliard, all of them didn't get paid. So, we were just talking about that, right? We was talking about and we done talked about it several times between me and you about how over the years, we've been going and doing public speaking events, going to school, being invited out to do lectures at certain places, right? And we have most of the time we have to cover, and most of the time, 99% of the time, we have to cover the travel expenses.
Travel.
You know what I'm saying? we're not being compensated for the time that we put in to put
Sometimes
these.
for me, I'm taking off for work, so I'm literally missing money to go and do this.
Right, but
I'm
on the
literally
other
missing money to go and do this.
right, but on the other end, the token on the other end. Now, if there were other people that didn't look like us that came in, right, they would pay for their flights if they had to fly
Flight,
in. If they drove, they
hotel,
would pay for their gas. They would pay for their
per
hotels,
diem,
per
meal,
diem, right, meals, all of these things, right? We
and
take
get
care
paid
of.
to speak,
No,
and get paid for your product.
right, exactly, right.
They get paid 6-7 different ways.
Right. So we take care of those that don't look like us, those who are outside of our community, right? We'll take care of them. We'll see about them. But the ones that are actually trying, who are putting in the work, those who are trying to change, those who are trying to build and uplift, we don't want to give them a damn thing, man.
But look what we're asked to do. I'm gonna speak for me. Look what we asked to do. Well, Sean, you went to this school back in the day. You alumni. Come get back to the kids. They'd love to see you. I don't deserve to get paid. So, Kofi, I told you all the time, Kofi, with your resume and your background and what you can do, if your name was something else besides Kofi and you was a different color person besides what you are, what is that worth?
Money in the bank.
All your years of experience, all the things you've done,
money in
all
the bank.
your years of lecturing and presentations and book writing, and you're a publisher, you got merch and product. What is that worth?
Money in the bank.
But you want to give me a 2 for $20 Chili's gift card. I'm not being funny. That really happened.
I mean, no. I'm laughing.
That really happened.
Hold on. Right. Because I'm gonna tell you,
2 for $20.
I got paid Catfish 1 coupon.
Okay, I didn't even know that.
Catfish 1.
I've gotten a lanyard before.
Right.
Ask Keith. I got a lanyard from a school. Mm-hmm. I got a school T-shirt. I got a photo out with the principal. Mm-hmm. But this other man come and get $3,500. This other man come and get $2,700.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
See, I have a circle of public speakers in my. I've been 15, 16 years doing this. So I talk about this in private for the past 10 years. So I know it's not just me. They're not paying us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Would you consider us poor righteous teachers, Sean?
The goddamn right. Like hey, Kofi, we on the fast track.
Man, it's crazy. Like it's crazy. We have to do better with supporting our own. Like, and you mentioned Carter G. Wilson.
Yes.
Right? And how every little bit he got, he took it, he funneled and he put it back into the thing.
Because it ain't nothing now. We got to.
Right. So, you know,
bro, A. Philip Randolph, back to that. This man walk around with the same suit on for I don't know how long they said. The same suit. Toe up shoes. They said the man was so thin, he put his hand on his hips. And like it was just one long line. Like it wasn't even no, like he was so thin. It's so sad, the poor righteous teacher concept, Kofi. It was said in the book I was reading about that. They said that it was so common to see these leading men be so real thin, they thought it was a part of what it is to be thin like that. These boys not even eating, bro. They was literally barely even eating, leading these movements to where it was commonplace. It wasn't no fat, sloppy leaders, dog.
and I adopted that. I adopted
crazy, bro.
That same mentality.
I didn't get the check. I didn't have the mentality. I didn't get paid.
Oh, you know, when
that wasn't my mentality.
Right,
I didn't get paid.
You know, but what I'm saying is associate myself with poverty in order to be a teacher, right? A righteous teacher. In order for me to be righteous and me to do these things, I can't accept this. I can't do this. I can't go out and try to get sponsorship from those who may not look. I can't do this. You know, even though, you know, so I adopted that, but my mindset over the years definitely changed when I started creating my own brands.
You just said something. I gotta be the Griots Podcast. We gotta be real in the podcast. We gotta be real. You know who did pay me? Them other people.
Yeah.
You know who did take care of me? Well, them other people. You know who did pay for my travel expenses and my food and my lodging? Them other people. I gotta be honest, bro. I gotta be honest. When I go to them people Catholic school and I go to their preparatory school and I go to their charter school, I'll be good.
Man.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing, bro.
We got to
That's embarrassing.
we have to do better with taking care of our own, man. Like we
You
have
do.
to do better with taking care of our own. All these people we name, man, shouldn't have went to the grave poor, man. Their
Let's talk about
families should.
Zora. Talk about
Yeah,
Zora.
Zora
Let's
is, yes, Zora
Zora,
Hurston, right.
who is known to be one of the greatest writers in
Prolific writer.
history.
Right.
One of the greatest writers. And she died by herself, lonely in some little back or whatever apartment or whatever. And then she was in an unmarked grave for years until Alice Walker went and found her grave and then raised the money to give her a proper headstone.
Wow, man. That's crazy.
That's the we do to our greats.
Hmm.
That's how we treat our greats.
Man.
And we wonder why our kids don't aspire to get great. How does it look attractive to be great? How is that attractive? Malcolm X get killed, MLK get killed, Asada Shakur still in exile over there in Cuba somewhere, Tupac get killed. How is it attractive to be great? How is that attractive? It's not.
Yeah, man. That's just
You want to be Zora? Do you really?
I I definitely don't, man. I definitely don't, man. So, we just have to do better at, taking care of our own. When you got, especially when we got like, when you have, especially, I don't mind taking care of somebody, especially when I see what they're doing. And then they're the credentials to back them. They got a list of this. Okay, well, boom. You know, I understand that he went to school for here. Oh, he put in the hours. He put in these amount of hours for this here. He traveled these many hours here. He experienced these many things over here. This, that, and the third. He or she, you know what I'm saying? I have to factor in those things and I have to compensate him or compensate her for those things that she has acquired. A long list of these things that she has acquired. So I have to
No.
compensate her for that thing. That is why I don't mind paying for information now. I don't mind paying for information. I don't.
Let's be more critical, right? I just saw some articles this past couple of days about the Beyonce tour, the Renaissance tour. I think she's made almost $500 million on that tour.
Wow.
I know friends personally in my circle, they have paid for the Beyonce show multiple times, right? This is the question. Do you think any scholar of any kind could do something like that? Like do a series, anybody?
No.
No. We love to be entertained more than educated.
Yes.
I've been about 15, 20 years saying that. We love to be entertained, bro.
Yes. Yep.
I've had situations, I told you this in private, I'm going to say it online. I know 3 or 4 very prominent scholars, they are ready to come fly down to where I live at. And the amount that they wanted wasn't all that much money. But we couldn't come together as a community and pay for it, unfortunately. But we'll get Lil Boosie out here.
Oh, no problem.
We'll get Remy Ma out here.
No problem.
We'll get Nicki Minaj out here.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be packed wall to wall. Can't park the car nowhere. But I bring Dr. Kama down here. It's empty. I can't fill a small room. We don't value that, bro.
And that's why, we are in a situation that we in. Entertaining versus education, man, is different. We
love foolishness, man.
Yes.
I try to be clean as I can for the podcast sake. But Jay-Z, one of my favorite songs he got is called Ignorant Shit. We love ignorant shit.
Mm-hmm. That's a
thing.
Yeah. I call it, and excuse me, I call it nigga shit, right? I call it nigga shit. I don't want to entertain. I don't want to entertain it. And that is one of our greatest downfalls right there. We had too many people, Sean, who came up um, after the Emancipation Proclamation, man, who who thrived on getting educated and thrived on going back and sharing that information with their community, right? Because they understood the power of educating, right? They understood the power of that. They knew that they could actually live or progress if they educated themselves, right? So now education is unattractive, right? You know what I'm saying? And the nigga shit, right, is popular, right? The foolishness is popular, right? We rather
Bro,
take care of those who are destroying, that is a detriment to our community. We rather give them the bag, and those who are actually trying to build, right? Build up, uplift, inspire, motivate, push our people forward, right?
yeah.
We don't want to drop. We don't want to give them nothing. Well, we want to give them a coupon. We want to give what kind of coupon they gave you? What you give? What you got?
That two for
Got you
that 2 for 20.
right.
That
And
two
I
for
got
20.
the cat and the catfish one
2 for 20,
coupon.
man.
The
2 for
catfish,
20.
you
Shout out to
know,
Chili's. Shout out to Chili's. Shout out. Shout out to Chili's.
you
Y'all
know.
did it right. Y'all did it right.
I mean, I'm just gonna keep saying it, man. We just have to do
Say it.
better and
But
eat.
see, this is why I said for a long time too, Kofi. Whenever I say it like this, right? These entertainers got more power than any president. These entertainers got more power than any pastor, any preacher, any scholar. If Nicki Minaj talking about going to college and stuff like that, these little girls going to school, bro. They said whenever Megan Thee Stallion went to, I think she went to Texas University or Texas Tech. She graduated recently, a couple years ago. Their enrollment went up because Megan Thee Stallion was there.
Yep, yep. I think
So
I
we
seen
see
some on that.
if Beyonce and whoever put this in their lyrics, talk about doing homework, talk about studying, talk about grinding. These people are listening. If Cardi B, some of these people put that in their stuff because you got that kind of influence and power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. That's
The
crazy.
Beehive is serious, bro.
Yeah, it's serious. It's
The
serious,
Beehive
man.
is serious. She got more power than anybody right now. She is like walking God.
Mhm. Yeah, but
Look, Beyonce said, look, y'all wear silver. These folks going to break their neck to go and find some silver stuff. They ain't even got nothing in their closet that's silver. They're going to break their neck to find some silver.
mhm. Yeah, man,
And yet she said it.
yeah, it's
That's a lot of
sad,
power,
man.
man.
It's sad. So we just got to do better and taking care of ourselves. And you know,
We do.
and I'm gonna say, you know, there's a lot of stuff that we trying to do, a lot of stuff we trying to do, personally, right?
Yeah.
And I'm speaking for me. I never got on online and asked anybody for a dime. I believe in the
I've
equal
never.
exchange, right?
Yeah, I've
So
never. Yeah,
so and I'm saying like GoFundMe's, you know how people do
I've never. Yeah.
GoFundMe's. So everything that I got, I'm proud to have the things
Grinding.
I have, and that is cause I grind and don't ask. And
Yeah.
I'm always giving back, right?
And
Go ahead.
that's why I say all the time for these shows, people don't realize what we do for these shows.
Yeah.
Anybody gave me these books.
Mhm.
It wasn't like, oh, y'all doing a podcast song, man. Take these books. You're gonna use that. I have to go and buy these books.
Mhm. Right. Right.
Anybody paying for these documentaries?
Right. Right. Or
And
giving
I'm the
money.
one staying up till 4 in the morning reading them.
Right. 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 So so
So, what that cost? Is the
right.
question.
Right.
How
And
much is that worth?
right. But we just have to do, we have to, and I don't like, and then we don't have to, yeah. And even when we do things where we're taking less to help, you know what I'm saying? At times people don't even want to take advantage of those types of things that we're doing when we're taking, okay, well, we understand right now that it's hard out here for people. So we'll charge you this, or we'll do this, or we're gonna give away this if you pay this, that, and those things. And I'm saying that to like we've been doing a book raffle.
Yep.
The book raffle is not successful. I'm just gonna go on here and say it for the record. It's not successful. We maybe
Yeah.
have 5 who participated, in this book raffle. $10 to win 8 books. The book box is a value of 100, and $45 to $150. You're
Yes, it
taking
is.
$10 to win. You know, we always talk about reading and supporting each other. And those funds that we have to do at times is to help us, because nobody else want to pay us when we want to get out there and travel and promote our products, or we want to get out there and give back and do type things. So it takes money to travel. It takes money for a plane ticket. It takes money to put gas in your car. It takes money. It takes money to go out of town to buy to get a hotel, to have food for how many X amount of days that you got there, and to support other people. Everywhere that I go, I always, wherever I'm at, I'm spending money with those people that wherever I'm
Yes,
at,
you
I'm
do.
spending money, right? So
Yes, you do. Yes, you
I'm
do.
trying to support, right? So we just have to do better with people who are trying to do something, especially I have no problem you trying to make a positive change in our community that's going to affect me and are going to affect the next generation or affect my children and their children. I don't mind pulling out and donating in whatever form, fashion.
Let's do the flip side to the conversation, right? Let's do the flip side. So if a brother is popping, he does have some nice vehicles. He got jewelry, clothes. He is well fashioned or whatever. They don't like that either. How you supposed to win?
Right.
He got to be a scammer. He got to be a schemer.
Mm-hmm.
He got to be doing something illegal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't know what this man doing outside of YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he got real estate. Maybe he got investments. Maybe he got a fire job. Whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can't win with these people because the consumer concept is you got to be poor once again.
Mm-hmm.
If you come out with all this jewelry and you flashy, you're like, oh man, he just cocky, he just this, he just that. What you want? You can't win. You can't win, bro. You can't win.
Can't win, man. But I don't want to, and I refuse to be a poor righteous teacher.
No,
I refuse.
I would not. I would not.
I will not die poor. I will not die leaving my kids a legacy behind them. I will not.
The past 8 years, you can ask Keith, the elder Griot, Keith Joseph Nichols, one of our major inside things to each other is CTC. Cut the check.
Cut the check. Hey,
I had a beat to it. I call it cut the damn check.
Yeah, and the new one. I'm finna send you the hot link. Hit that hot link. I'm telling you, when you introduce me to that, bro, I've been saying that all the time. Like every time I get a client, I always say, I'm finna send you that hot link right now to pay the deposit. Huh?
People love to inbox you all this hot talk. Man, I can't wait till the book come out. I'm going to get the book. Oh man, whenever the hat come out, I'm going to get me a hat. Man, whenever the shirt come out, you say, okay, cool. You send that PayPal link to them and get quiet.
Yeah, that hot link, man.
That hot link.
Yeah, man.
I done lost a lot of friendships behind that hot link. Well, not real friends, like associates. I lost a lot of associates behind the hot link.
All right, that hot link.
That first book is, in particular, when the first book came out, I was able to really clearly see what's what when that first book came out.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
When I sent that PayPal link and that Cash App link out, that first book, I was able to see.
Yep. And that's something that,
and once again, some of the other people, they buying 5 and 10 copies at a time.
Yep. And I'm gonna tell you another thing, and then we'll move on. We're not gonna be poor, right? We're not gonna die poor righteous teachers. But I want to say this also. Other entrepreneurs out there, right?
Yep.
Other entrepreneurs. You can't think that one person you want people to support you and you don't want to support anybody else. I see that too many times where we got too many people that are entrepreneurs who have brands that they're getting off of the ground, right? And doing decent or just trying to get off the ground. They're urging, marketing, promoting, calling, texting, DMing, messaging, whatever the market tool is, sponsor thing on there, want you to buy their service or their products. But then when you start sending them your stuff, man, it's crickets. they don't want to support. It has you have to be able to do. You gotta be able to do the same thing. And willing for you to want others to support you, you have to be willing to support others, right? So
Reciprocity, man.
right,
Reciprocity.
right. So we have to get out of that
100%.
mentality, man. I see it too much amongst our community, right? Where we want others to support us, but we ain't willing to support other folks, man. That's just crazy to me, man. That's crazy to
And we
me.
got to take some time to acknowledge and celebrate and hand clap for the ones that do support whenever things come out. They do come out and support on a consistent basis. They show love. Because support got different phrases, right?
Yeah.
Besides just paying for it, if you just sharing it, you just clicking on it, you just putting somebody else onto it, that's their support. And I appreciate you for doing that. So thank y'all for ones that do support.
Yes, yes, and we got and it's we have a good family, man, an Instagram family, man.
Yes, we do. Yes,
We
we do.
really have because so when we have some people on there,
Blessings.
man, just that's been supporting, man. This campaign we got, man, this Griot campaign, man. Dog, I had forgot all about this. So let's get into the story segment real quick, man.
I
We're gonna
do
get
it.
in the story.
I'm going to. I'm putting it up right
Yeah,
now. Go
man,
ahead.
when we
Go ahead. Go
talking
with
about yeah.
it.
So what I'm in the story segment, we
Yeah.
always because we're storytellers, right? We're
Yep.
Griot. So Griot's one of the roles is storytelling. So
Yes.
we want to share something, you know what I'm saying, from our new book, The Modern Day Griot and Griots is the New Generation. And we appreciate everybody that bought the book. I'm going on
Yes.
record
Thank you. Thank you.
saying this is self-published. We're gonna sell 300 copies. I don't give a damn. We're gonna sell 300 copies. The book only been out. It's been out a month. I've been out
Yep.
a month
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
one day. A month.
Yep.
It's been out a month and one day,
Yep.
and we're at 76 copies sold within the month. So
76.
76 now, right?
I'll take it. Self published. I'll take it.
Yes, 76. So we're
And in October, you going to on the road pretty soon.
going on the road pretty
I'm
soon.
on the road pretty soon.
Pretty
So
soon, right,
we got
right.
some things popping. Some
Yeah,
things
so
cooking.
and we're going back on the road hopefully in December, right?
That's right. That's right.
So in
Yeah,
New
we got some
Orleans,
things
right?
cooking.
Right.
Things cooking.
Right. So we got some things cooking. So
To the spot.
right. So we're gonna reach that 300. We're gonna reach
Yeah,
that
we'll get
300
it.
mark. We're gonna
We'll get
reach it. Right. So I'm gonna share a page from our book, page
Yes, sir.
135. And just share this one page. Is this okay? Did I say 45? Page chapter. Oh, the art of storytelling. Okay, yeah, art of
chapter
story.
2.
Okay, yep. All right, page 45. The stage made me feel like I was transforming into someone else, at least for a while. In front of the microphone in the crowd, I felt eight. No, this is you, Sean, ain't
That is me.
it?
I was gonna stop you too. I was like, wait a minute, Kofi.
Lord, I'm on Sean page. Y'all give me 1 second. I will go.
Like Keith said, yep, that's plagiarism, Kofi. That's plagiarism.
Yeah, I'm plagiarizing right now, man. But I'll just give this.
I was sitting there listening, like, wait a minute, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, that sounds
I think
familiar.
I wrote something like that.
Yeah. I'll just start here. I was
Yeah, go
born
ahead.
in Mississippi and resided at 220 East Minnesota Street. I was raised by my grandmother, Emma Smith. On that street was a church, a cleaners, a funeral home, and a cafe. And my grandmother and grandmother apartment complex, the Smith Apartments. As a little boy, I can remember seeing all kinds of people, such as regular working men and women, business owners, drug dealers, addicts, and alcoholics. My grandmother tried to shelter us from a lot of stuff that was going on Minnesota Street, aka Little Italy. And that's funny. I just found out. I'm 46 years old. I just found out while I was writing this chapter why they call it Little Italy. I never knew that Italians had a store before my grandmother and grandfather started building their apartment complex there. But anyway, my grandmother taught us about hard work and made sure we stayed in school. I was an okay student in school, but I hated reading and reading out loud in class. Around my 7th grade year, I started writing poems. And in December of that year, my grandmother got me an LL Cool J album, a Salt and Pepper album, a Kumo D album. All those albums were cassette tapes. Back then, there was only vinyl and cassette tapes. After listening to those albums, I started rapping, and I met two other guys who rapped. We would meet up and go to Peter Rabbit's house and record ourselves putting a cassette tape full of instrumentals on one side and a blank cassette on the other side of the tape deck, plug the mic into the radio, hit record, and freestyle and whole album. So I'm gonna stop right there. So in that of art of storytelling, I'm just conveying and letting you know where I grew up, the things that I saw. So I seen people because my grandmother and grandfather own things. This is where I get my entrepreneurial spirit from them. They own various things on that street, an apartment complex, cleaners, and houses surrounding in that area, right? And a cafe at that time. And that cafe would attract all types of people. So there was business. That's also was a funeral home on there. So there was businesses on that thing. There was a church on that thing. So I would see church people. I would see alcoholics who would come to the cafe. I would see drug dealers on the side of the cafe trying to hustle and sell drugs. I would see my grandmother and grandfather, through their transaction of people coming in and getting an apartment complex for them or renting a house out around the corner from them and so forth. And just me growing up and how I didn't like to read at all. And over time, I developed this thing of becoming an avid reader, but also while I was young, I was also facilitating a griot role because I was a poet before I started rapping. So I was doing poetry. And those LL Cool J tapes and the Salt and Pepper and the what's the name, it influenced me to take my poetry and start writing raps and taking that raps and converting it over into cassette tapes. So that was one form of me as a facilitating a role of a griot, but I go into the other things in there. But that's it for my portion of the storytelling from our book, The Modern Day Griot and Griottes, The New Generation. That is chapter 2. What is it? The Art of
Art of
Storytelling.
storytelling. Yeah. So before I read my part, I'm asking you a question real quick because your part in that chapter wasn't originally in the format. So how did you feel whenever you were asked to put a part in that particular chapter about your life?
I mean, I feel I was grateful, man. I was kind of glad it challenged me, right? Because like you said, it's supposed to be your chapter alone. And when you asked me to be a part of it and write and tell my story, man, I said, man, I was honored and dope, and it challenged me to dig deep and talk about some things from my past and my childhood, because most people that's on this social media world, YouTube, Instagram now, Facebook, and those spaces, they okay, Kofi Piesie is this intellectual, he's an avid reader, what I'm saying? He's an entrepreneur, he does all these things. This brother here is smart. I hear it all the time, right? But I was glad to share my story and let you know I didn't get good grades, because if you read more into that chapter, you will see that I could have applied myself, what I'm saying, and did more, but I didn't, because I didn't, at that time I wanted to fit in with other people. But I was glad, for you for me to insert that so people can see that, hey, look, if I can come from here and from here to here, you can do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So I was glad to share with them that, hey, I didn't like to read. I didn't like to read out. I didn't like to read out loud. I wasn't a good student, man, in school. You know what I'm saying? But if I can, and I come from a place where I did come from a place where I grew up good, because my grandmother raised me and they had these properties, but we also lived in an area that was infested by drug addicts, alcoholics, and drug dealers, right? So if I was able to come out of there and make a better living for myself, then you can do the same. The next generation can do the same, right? Your son, your daughter can do the same.
Yeah. I'm always big on, this in our conversations, man, like, know, and trust. So I know it's real big for us to have connectivity with our audience. They need to really, really feel like they know us and they like us, and then ultimately you trust us, right? So that one chapter in the book, The Art of Storytelling, for both of us to give a mini biography of ourselves, is important for our audience to realize, like, okay, this is the guys that we're learning from. this is the guys that we're hearing from. You're more open to receive us now that we give y'all some transparent lessons.
Right. Some personal information
And,
about right.
and Kofi, whenever you say Little Italy, you know my mind said,
A pizza.
no, 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 no.
What's that?
Dead in the middle of Little Italy, little did he know.
Oh, okay. Big pun. Big pun.
Yeah,
Yeah, big pun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Little
And and
Italy.
and I'm glad though, because if you wouldn't have said, "Hey man, let's co-write this chapter," I would have never even knew why. Because I never thought about it. Never dawned on me till I was writing it. Why they always called it Little Italy or Italy Cartel. And then I had to go do some research and some research and some research, and come to find out that before my grandmother and grandfather started building their apartment complex, their houses and houses surrounding there, right on the where I got a house, I got a property now, and right beside my property is a big old thing, a field where there was a store right there, a store that was owned by Italians for years right there. So that's why they called it Little Italy.
Little
So
Italy. Yeah,
mhm.
Sure. I'm gonna go into mine. I don't know exactly what page it's on. I'm reading from the actual manuscript. So I say right next to the joy I get from crafting a story with my pen and pad is the oral traditions, which Kofi would tell you all about in a technical sense later on in chapter 3. Before I ever thought to write a story on paper, I enjoyed the world of public speaking. It started early in those school days, and I mentioned being shy and trying to blend in with my desk, right, trying to hide. I was the kind of student you would have barely noticed in your class, primarily quiet as a church mouse, as the saying goes. Again, I was not reading or studying much back then, so I attribute this quiet, shy for a need of me not having much worthy of saying. As I read more books and I learned more lessons, I realized I naturally had more to say about everything. A natural part of my personality is when I know things, I can't wait to share them. Um, One of my buddy's Kofi favorite saying is, "As I understand, we understand."
As I learned, we all learn.
As I learn, we all learn, right?
Yeah.
This is how I conducted my life. So as my learning practices grew, my confidence opened up and share expanded. Before you know it, I started speaking at schools to educate the youth about health and wellness. This evolved into speaking about bullying, increasing study habits, performing better on tests. It didn't take long before I was traveling and speaking to groups about Black history and the importance of reading to improve their lives. The stage made me feel like I was transforming into somebody else, at least for a little while. In front of that microphone in the crowd, I felt 8 feet tall. To have an audience hanging on your every word, being the floor general, setting the tempo of the event, making them rise and fall based on your emotions, pacing, tone of voice. Having a responsibility to educate, entertain, inspire, and infuse hope into an audience is something I take very seriously. Currently, I use my verbal ability to host the Sean P. Experience podcast and co-host the Griots Podcast, which is the reason why you're holding this book right now in your hands. I lead lessons on social media, educating followers on social issues, movies, sports, Black history, and pop culture. Society and the government is changing very quickly before our eyes, and they are taking books and literature out of the schools and libraries. The oral storytellers will carry the tales and history for the next generation. Like our griots of old, when I learned about the oral storytellers, I accepted the responsibility with great pride and joy in this particular class of exceptional people.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go.
Books.
Yes, sir.
So books changed your life. Did
Oof.
books change your life? You say you started off
Incredible.
as shy, and I
Oh,
we,
yeah.
we the conversation that we had. So books build your character up. Books
Yeah.
build you your confidence up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Because once again, like I said in the book a little bit, if you don't have something to say, and we know people like this at work in particular. I work 12-hour shifts. I hear pockets of people talking about absolutely nothing for 12 hours. Like nothing of substance, nothing worth anything. They're just filling the time until 12 hours. They don't actually have something to say.
Mm.
But I pride myself on, yes, I talk a whole lot. I talk a lot. But I'm talking about something.
Yeah.
I'm talking about something.
That's
Every
it.
single topic that switch.
Uh,
I'm adding value to based on books I read, documentaries, TV shows, magazines, articles, podcasts, audio books. I have something substantive to say about the matter.
mhm.
So the more I read, yes, I opened up. I could just hear a conversation in the past and hop in the conversation.
Yeah.
And I pride myself on that. So yeah, but man, books changed my life incredibly with
Yeah.
confidence.
Yeah, but and I asked that question because um people don't understand the power in books, right? And a lot of us, um, I ain't reading no book. Who finna spend that type of money on a book? You know,
You buy a
so
Beyonce ticket.
yeah, right. So,
Well,
you
I should have
know,
said that.
yeah, books are
But
definitely
but
changed my life.
on a serious tip, real fast, right? So I did a podcast. I did an interview lately on my Instagram page with Reggie Reads about reading to your interests, right? So let's say you do like Beyonce, just hypothetically. I didn't realize they had a stack of books written about Beyonce until like last month when her birthday passed. So if you are interested in that, if you was to read even one of these books, you might even heighten your love of Beyonce more than what it already is. You love the music videos, you love the swag, you love the music. If you read this book about her actual life and other things in the background, you might heighten your interest in whatever your interest is.
Mm,
So books still elevate you, whatever it is, man.
yes, sir.
Football, basketball, clothes, shoes,
Right,
whatever your interest is.
right. Read about your interest. Yep.
Whatever your interest is. Yeah.
Yep, yep. And you know, peace to everybody in the chat, man.
Yeah, peace to the chat.
Um,
Shout out to the
peace
chat.
to the chat. You know,
Always.
I ain't been communicating communicating as much as I was, but shout out to everybody in the chat. I see everybody that's been in the chat popping in and out. So I appreciate we appreciate everybody for rocking out with us, man. So I
Yeah,
see
for sure.
y'all, so I'm acknowledging all of y'all
That's right.
right now. So let's let's get into the next segment, the music segment, real quick, and we're just gonna
Okay.
gloss over this. You know, we
Yep.
can't
Yep.
not talk about the Poor Righteous Teachers, right? So, the Poor Righteous Teachers was a hip hop group from Trenton, New York, Jersey, founded in 1981, often referred to the PRT by its fans. Poor Righteous Teachers was known as a social and political conscious hip hop group with musical content inspired by the teachings of the Nation of Gods and Earth. Wise Intellect, as the lead MC, was the most visible and well known member of the group. Culture Freedom, providing vocals and productions, and Father Shahid served as the DJ and producer. Um, about.com ranked the group lead MC Wise Intellect number 5 on the list of top most underrated rappers, calling him one of the most creative MCs of our time. I remember real quick. I remember growing up in the 90s and me listening to the poor righteous teachers, right? Matter of fact, real quick, they had albums intellected released in May the 29th, 1990. Billboard 200 chart position one number 142, R&B hip hop chart position number 7, singles Time to Say Peace, Butt Naked, Blessed, rock this funky joint. Highly intellected and self wisdom. Pure Poverty, released in September 3rd, 1991. I'm not gonna go through the stats on that one. They released Black Business, released September 4th, 14, 1993, and the New World Order, released in October the 15th, 1996. I only know about 2 of the albums. That's Highly Intellect, uh, which was released in May, which was in the 90s, and Pure Poverty, which was released 1991. Those were the 2 albums that I was familiar with, but they was talking about a lot of stuff in there I couldn't relate, I couldn't understand, and
Right.
I was on foolishness time.
Yeah,
So
me
I
too.
was on tearing down
At that
time.
time, me too. Yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
so that stuff they was
I
talking
wasn't
about,
I
and
wasn't
even
on game back
yeah.
then.
So and even with some of the stuff they were saying, it was going over my head, right? So I didn't know what they was talking about. So
But
go ahead.
even to go along with that though, you in Mississippi right there next door to us. So I don't want to say it's drastically different, but like I try to describe to people that's younger than us all the time how regional music was back then. Being in Louisiana, I'm hearing straight Cash Money all day. I'm hearing No Limit all
Yep.
day. I'm hearing some Texas with DJ Screw and Rap a Lot and Bun B, Pimp C. I'm hearing some A Ball and MJG. I'm hearing some, Goody Mob and all that in Atlanta. But like I wasn't really heavily hearing the East Coast, the Midwest, and even some of the West Coast guys until I was in the military, 18, 19, being around East Coast, Midwest guys, catching on the back end some of that stuff later on,
Mhm.
happening in real time.
Yep. I mean, and that's what I was listening to. Now I'm familiar. I'm familiar with him. I mean, with the poor righteous teachers. At that time, I'm familiar with people may not know about the Parsons clan. You sissies. They wore the African dashiki. I mean, not the dashikis. The African medallions. I got one now, man. Old African medallion. The African. So so that was people that was out there that was pushing positive and who were griots. Those people were griots. Those
Easy,
people were
easy,
griots, right? And
easy.
they was informing us through through the music, you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Through rhymes and beats, right? You
yes.
know, and
And
but at that time I wasn't on those things. But just going back and listening to two of the Poor Righteous Teachers albums over the week, I respect it more now, and I
yeah,
get a lot of the stuff that they were saying now.
yeah,
So, you
yeah,
know, mm-hmm.
sure.
Yep.
And for the musical segment, I'm gonna just gloss over real quick, man. When it comes to the 5% Nation and things of that nature, I love showing publications on here, right? You got the Prophets of the Hood by Dr. Imani Perry.
I got my
She has a great chapter in here, and she goes into religion and hip hop and things of that nature, right? But within that chapter, she breaks down some good things about the 5% Nation, Nation of Islam, and of course Christianity is in the chapter as well, right? But I want to talk about guys like Nas and Dr. Michael Eric Dyson got a good book on Nas. It's called Born to Use Mics. He has a good bit of information in there on the 5% Nation for those that's curious about that. Also, his book right here, it's called Between God and Gangster Rap. This is Michael Eric Dyson for those that's listening. He breaks down some good things in there. And of course, you got the brother Supreme Understanding, the Science of Self. But the book I really wanted to give was the Knowledge of Self, which goes into the 5% Nation as well, man. But yeah, somebody said it right there in the chat. The X Clan, of course, Jay Electronica, Busta Rhymes, of course, Rakim, the
Wu,
guy I didn't see, Rakim.
Wu, majority of the Wu Tang members was also
Wu Tang
5%.
Clan for sure,
Mhm.
up and down Wu Tang. So
Yeah.
you have a good conglomerate of rappers over time that you can hear the 5% in their bars and their rhymes. Even Jay-Z sometimes use some of
Oh
the
yeah,
5% rhetoric in
yeah.
his bars. You know what I'm saying?
Because he was influenced by Jay Electronica. I started seeing it when he started hanging around Jay Electronica. You know what I'm saying? And they did an album and stuff together and
Right.
stuff. So
He got 5% guys in the circle too. Before
mhm.
that. So you see a little certain things he hitting at here and there. You know what I mean? You know what he around. He getting them lessons. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. So let's go
Yeah.
into our last segment. Which, and by
Okay.
the way, I own two of those books. By the way, I appreciate you for putting me on the Eric Dyson book,
Yes,
uh,
man. Yes.
and Dr.
Yes.
Imani Perry.
Anybody
Book.
listening? Because we're about scholarship, right? So we got to help those that's trying to get their game up. Whenever I watch YouTube videos and whatnot, I always have my Amazon or my eBay app open as well. So whenever a person put a book up like this, I can pause the video in real time, and I go straight to my Amazon or my YouTube or whatever, and I go and find it as soon as I can. And whenever a person might mention the book, I pause the video. I go try to find it. That's my habit I've built over years doing that, man.
Yep.
So
And that's
I want to
that
hold the books up.
yeah, that's what helped me and my journey 2013. I didn't know what books to read and what to look for. So when I found this community at the time,
Yeah.
some of those when they got into the sources, they would talk about these books and put them up. I would pause them and write them
Yep, yep,
down,
pause it,
and then
write it down. Yeah.
I
Yep.
go, I order the books. I mean, I know
Uh,
at one point, and I'm back at that point. I'm proud of myself this week for not doing it. But at one point in my life for years, I was buying books every day. I have acquired, I know I got at least 1,000 and some books. I'm telling you, I got 1,000. This is just a little small bookcase, but if I take you in the other room, show you them walls on them bookshelves, you know, ain't nothing but books everywhere. And I had books stacked up. My wife told me, you got to get them down. You got to get them off here. I had to get them down this weekend. I had to move them and put them, and I got books in the other spot. I got to get off the table, and I got to find somewhere to put those books. But you know,
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. But it's to a point now, Dr. Greg Carr in particular. He the main one, Dr. Greg Carr. Whenever he's sitting down doing his videos, he got books literally all around him. So I got in the habit recently of pausing the video and I take my face and I enlarge the screen so I can see. And I'm trying to read the spines of the books behind his head and what's on the side of him. I'm trying to write those books down. You know what I mean? I'm at that point now with it. So
bro, that's somebody I hope. Dog, before he golly, I done hit this darn thing over here. I hope before he transition. Oh man, hold on, y'all. Oh my god. I hit this my iTunes thing. Sorry about that. But hope out here he's in the
there you
book.
go, Africana Carr.
He's in the book right here. So
Africana Carr.
he's in our book. So we're giving you who
And the
are
KRS One right there, another knowledge dropper. KRS One.
our griots, modern day griots. Those are modern day griots, right?
Day.
So and I hope to one day meet
I would love
Carr, man. Before
just talk to him one time, bro.
And he's a walking library, bro.
Talk to that man one time, but that'd be a dream for me.
Yes, walking library, man.
Yes, he is.
But the woman segment, this is our last segment.
Our sister.
So today we're this segment we're always honoring some woman of great value to us, right? Those who have made some type of contribution, right? And today, you know, we every episode we're talking about these women that we came across and researched or maybe inspired us or were close to somebody else that we adored, right? But this is special because we know these two women personally, right? These are two people that are in our space. These are two women that is a part of what we call our family, you know, a part of our collective, right? People that we talk to on a daily, if not every day, every other day, right? So I'll be highlighting Dr. Ashley Wade today, right? She's also wrote the introduction in the book, right? So she wrote the introduction in the book, right? And she's hosting our book club, right? We have a virtual book club that just started this past Saturday. Will go on for 3 more sessions, right? So go sign up if you hadn't signed up for the Modern Day Griot and Griottes, the new generation virtual book club, right? But Ashley Wade, she is a consultant pharmacist from Longview, Texas, currently living in Dallas. She is knowledgeable, knowledge enthusiast, conscious thinker, motivational speaker. She is a healer who enjoy connecting with people spiritually and positively change their lives. Ashley is also an author of its journal, A Holistic Journey for Discovery Self, where she creates a process of safe space from those who are open to connecting with themselves on a deeper level. Through her immense passion for reading, studying revolutionary pioneers and Black philosophers, she has found that there is a special connection between the inner self and divinity. This is the message she shares with those she encounters. Dr. Wade enjoys creating unique learning experiences for people to explore historical nonfiction via her book club. She is really enjoys engaging in deep discussions with her friends. Her belief is that self-discovery, awareness, and knowledge is power. Her most recent publication is the article in Voyage Dallas magazine and the Modern Day Griot and Griottes, the new generation. So that is my part or my portion from this segment of our beautiful and lovely sister, Dr. Ashley Wade. I also go ahead.
Just to add it in there real fast, man. We had a beautiful book discussion on yesterday for those that missed it. And Dr. Wade told me, I believe, she's going to open up the Eventbrite for those that want to come on, tag along going forward. You can still join the next up and coming 3 sessions they got coming up. You don't want to miss it. We got a little breakout sessions in the middle of it. A lot of folks gave a lot of information yesterday. They were transparent, storytelling going on, man. You don't want to miss it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I'll be in Dallas with her November the 3rd and the 4th. I will be down there in the Dallas area. So if you're in Dallas, link up with me while I'm in Dallas those 2 days.
All right, now. So for my highlight session, I got the wonderful, amazing sister, Drea, the Sunflower Poet. She is a full-time author, has been creative writing for the past 3 years. Her love of poetry has drawn her to do spoken word all around Texas and Dallas-Fort Worth. With her adulthood journey of 19 years, she has experienced plenty and has dealt with anxiety, PTSD, but that has not stopped her from producing poems. She is an amazing, beautiful, talented sister. Shout out and salute to Drea, the Sunflower Poet.
Yes, indeed, man. And if you want to see some of her work, go follow her on
Yeah,
Instagram.
follow her brand, man. Drea,
Follow
the
her brand,
Sunflower Poet.
right. And she was on episode 5. She did
Yeah,
that. She was
opening.
opening poem about the
Right,
griots. About the
right.
griots. Oh, real quick, because we forgot the news segment. And the news segment, because I want to share this with people who,
Yeah.
who may know. But this is Mandela's granddaughter, Zulika, dies at 43, right? I'm gonna read a little something from ABC News. Cape Town, South Africa, Zulika Mandela, a granddaughter of Nelson Mandela, who life was tangled up in addiction and suicide attempt. And I'm reading that, and the only reason why I'm reading that where it says and I think that was kind of distasteful for CBS on my behalf, but I'm reading it when she's saying tangled up in addiction and suicide attempt. She was very transparent. Me going and doing some more research, she talked about her addiction and her battling with it, with addiction in the past, right? Suicide attempts, a battle with cancer, with the tragedy of losing 2 young children before she came back from the shadows to embrace her legacy, has died at the age of 43. Her death on Monday was announced by the Mandela family in a statement on Tuesday. The breast cancer she had fought for years had been in remission, but she was later diagnosed with cancer in her liver and her lungs and metastasized and spread it, her family said. The Nelson Mandela Foundation, which promotes the legacy of the South African statesman who died in 2013, said said it's mourn Zulika Mandela death and offers the condolence to her family. Right. So this is from the ABC News about Nelson Mandela's granddaughter. I want to stand honor and prayer
Yes.
to
Respect,
the
respect,
family.
respect.
Right, she just passed recently. I think it was either Monday or a Tuesday when she passed. So we also wanted to
But
share that note.
I want to give something real quick on what you just said right there, right? I saw this thing yesterday morning, man. Once again, Dr. Greg Carr. Dr. Greg Carr and the sister Karen Hunter talked about this yesterday, about the power of obituaries, right?
Mhm.
So Karen Hunter teaches a writing class over there where she live over there in New York, I believe. And she said every semester, one of her assignments is she make her class write their own obituary.
Wow.
It's a very difficult task to do, right? But the power in being a storyteller, Kofi, you want to have the total power to tell your own story. So guess what? Whenever you pass, something unsavory won't be said in your obituary. You already got one already made. Your family already got it. So we
Mhm.
should all be storytellers, that we all have the power to be storytellers. You
Mhm.
want to take the time, or you still got clear mind and ability, and write your own story.
I think that's dope too. And that also, for me, if I did at first, I was like, "Whoa!" But it would make things better for me. Okay, make me work on some more things before I transition. Right.
That too.
So
That
I'm
too.
writing about something. I'm
You want to
writing
have
about
something worthy.
right, something worthy.
Something
So
worthy.
that will make me reflect back on myself and say, "Hey, I got more work I need to be doing." I'm because that's my thing. I keep saying legacy. I'm trying to pass a legacy down, right? You know what I'm saying? So when somebody speaks, when somebody speaks about me to my children, you know what I'm saying, they speaking in the most positive manner. He
Upright,
did Kofi in
upright,
the upright, right? He Kofi
upright.
did this, that, and that third. He was this type of person. He was that.
Character. They
Right,
had character.
right. Good
Character.
character. Right, right,
Character.
right, right, man. So wow, I think that's now that you said, now that I thought about it and you said it, I think that's dope.
Yeah. Cause more time whenever you pass, it's a very emotional time for everybody. You're going to give your family a sense of ease, at least as far as that. Like that's one thing not to be worried about, right? That's one less thing to worry about. You have a religious family, so do I. So I know I just spent, I don't know, most of my life watching my mama and my grandmother do plenty of obituaries for tons of people. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep. But
Real.
that's it, y'all. That ends
Yeah.
this episode
Yes, man.
of the Griot Podcast.
We 6 months in, man.
Yes,
6 months in, half of the year gone.
Yes,
As
yes.
far as this.
And I'm enjoying myself, brother. I'm really enjoying myself, man. I'm enjoying the chemistry. I'm enjoying the camaraderie, the brotherhood.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying, the different ventures that we have.
Cool. Episode 7, is that Sip and Read?
Sip then read.
We sipping and reading.
Sip
and reading, sisters.
Yeah, at the end.
Number 7.
Number 7 is Sip then read.
7.
Right. So again, we want to appreciate everybody that popped in.
Man. Thank y'all for coming in. Thank y'all for being patient. Y'all giving us y'all attention and y'all focus. I say that currency, attention is the highest currency these days. It's more important than money is attention, right? So y'all gave us an hour and a half of y'all attention and y'all time, and we appreciate that at the Griots Podcast.
Pay attention. Pay attention.
Ooh, come on,
just content. Okay. Yes. So shout out to Vasa, Kalaw Gullah.
Yes, man. They said something earlier to one thing now before we leave Kofi about going to the public library, right? I was talking about putting the books up and going online and getting the books, and they spoke about utilizing the library in the chat, the comments. Yeah, and don't forget the public library hosts book sales. Lots of books are extremely cheap that way. Yes, utilize once again the public library. In most cities, probably twice a year, they got book sales at the library. Go ask them when their next book sale is to be ahead of that date. Yep. And you don't know when they got the big old, they got giveaways. Yep. They get rid of all their periodicals, all the magazines, all the newspapers. They get rid of all that stuff for a little bit of nothing. I do it every year. So
they do
go
it.
to your local library. I'm glad they said that and get abreast of that.
Yeah, because my wife's she's good at that. My daughter she goes to the library quite often, and she checks out a book. But every year they do it twice a year. They go down there and she buy books for Tootie. Let Tootie pick out books. I'm talking about at a cheap price, man. Tootie come back with then I got some books I need to move hers. Yes, stacks of books.
Had stacks of books, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then most times, if the library sale not really even moving toward the backside, they be like, man, just go ahead and take it. I've had that. Man, just go ahead and just take it, bro. Anybody interested in it, evidently, just take it, bro. Take it. So all y'all doing y'all vision board party whenever New Year's come, vision board parties and all that. You need magazines to be cutting out the magazine and all that. Go to your library. You utilize the library.
Yep. And again, shout out to everybody again. Sister Dr. Ashley Wade, Barry Payton, Jolanda, 93 TV.
Sister Billy, always in the building.
Sister Billy, Zane Matigo, Vasa Kalaw Gullah, who I seen coming. Teddy Ushima, Ross, and Neferu. So shout out to everybody, man. I always want to try to acknowledge everybody that was in this thing. But again, that's a wrap on episode 6. We'll see y'all at the end of this month because it's 5 Sundays in this month.
That's crazy.
Yep.
So I didn't realize that.
So we'll see y'all. Episode 7. Y'all will be seeing the visual.
Man, rock and roll, baby. And you'll hear it on Spotify and Anchor in a couple hours, like tonight. You'll have the episode available for those that want to drive and listen. You want to clean up and listen.
Yes, sir.
Spotify and Anchor.
Yep. And we'll be sharing that link out to Spotify, Anchor, tonight or sometime tomorrow, man. Yep. So again, man, we'll appreciate y'all, man, for rocking out with these two modern day griots, and we'll
Right.
see y'all next. Well, we'll see y'all in the next few weeks
Few
for
weeks.
episode 7. Man, we
Right
out.
back.
Peace, peace.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful.